Pastor, thank you for letting me have your slot this morning. Appreciate it. So my name is Jon Davis. My wife and kids were not able to be with me today. We are serving in Uganda. Our family has been involved in this church on and off for a number of generations. My granddad was Joe Bubar, who pastored here for many years in the 70s. And then my grandmother, after his passing, continued to serve here, playing the old organ for probably 3 decades, until she passed in 2017, I believe. So it is really fun to be here again. I've been coming to this church since I was born. I was born in Waukesha, and then my parents were missionaries in Pakistan, and so your church here supported us all through my growing up years. And then in, I think it was 2001, during one of my years, between my years in Moody, I served here as a youth pastor for a summer. It was a very short stint, but it was a lot of fun to work with Pastor Will at the time. So a lot of history, but you haven't seen my face in a while because of COVID, basically. We were planning to be back in 2020, and COVID kind of took that away, and then also the next summer. So it's been 4 years since we've been in the States, but it's great to be back with you again. So we work in Uganda. We have 3 kids and 5 dogs. The dogs are a lot easier to deal with. By the way, you said I had a couple hours, right? Yeah, okay. What time do you normally? 11:30. Okay, great. You give a missionary an inch and he takes a, wow. Like Pastor said, we're trying to hit 2 churches. One, my wife is at another supporting church in Villa Park, Illinois, and then I came up to see you guys. We are traveling this summer in a small travel trailer. We've tried various things on home assignments before. Sleeping in lots and lots of bedrooms, as you can imagine, gets a bit challenging with kids. And so to not disrupt the kids' school, we're trying to do home assignments in the summer. And a road trip, basically, we started 3 weeks ago in Detroit and picked up our trailer, and we'll end in Seattle by the beginning of August. So hitting supporting churches along the way, trying to see as many friends and family and supporters as possible. So I first want to share about my wife's ministry in Uganda. She runs the Bright Horizons Lending Library, and they have about 12 families at this point and 50 kids or so. They just cataloged their 6,000th book, and it's based in our garage in Kampala there. And why a lending library? Well, there's no public library in the country for people to interact with, and we're trying to support a lot of homeschooling families that have no library option. And so not just Ugandan homeschooling families, but also missionary families that live in Uganda to support them. So we have quite a variety of books, from kids' picture books to some learning materials for homeschooling families, up to a small theological library as well. I'm going to show you a quick little video clip here of that, if I can find my cursor. We have sound, and there we go.
Hello, my name is Victoria and I'm 7 years old. My name is Jay Jaden. I'm 5 years old. My name is Dawn.
My name is Grace. This is my mom.
The reason why I like to go to the library is because I can pick books which I like and I read them. It's because you can pick books which are really fun to read, and then when you get back home you just end up spending the whole day reading them.
Our family first started using the library in 2008. It was not called a library then, but Jenny allowed us to borrow her family books, taught us to return them. and we grew in the discipline of reading, and we love to read as a family. Generally, in Uganda, we don't have that reading culture, reading for fun, for leisure. We mostly read for pass exams. But one of my profound memories that day was he told us to close our eyes and take a deep breath, and then he said, "Is there any place you want to travel in the world?" And she said, "Well, you might not be able to go to all those places, but the books can get you there."
I like to read mystery books. I like to read about books on cars and trucks. I like reading everybody books.
The part I like best about the library, believe it or not, is that my grandchildren get to borrow books and read, because I was a very avid reader as a little girl, and I discovered the fun and joy of just being able to disappear into your own world through a book. It gives me pleasure that my grandchildren can read, can borrow nice books. And then, like Grace, I also get to borrow books and read them, and that's a lot of fun too.
I love that I have variety of stuff that I can read to them. They can read to me, and it's really helping us to pick up our literacy. Yeah.
So Bella, you came to me recently and you asked me what does it take to become a librarian, right? Mm-hmm. And so that made me think, ooh, I need a library helper. Maybe I can get Bella to help me. So, can you tell us a bit about what you've been doing to help me in the library?
Well, we shelve books, stack books, pick out the books that are important.
It has been such a blessing to have somebody helping me with some of those aspects of running the library that just take a lot of time. It's been super fun to have her in the library with me.
Yeah, everything. Friendship, books. It's a full package.
Right. So my wife sends her apologies for not being able to be with us today, but thank you for supporting her in that ministry. For myself, I helped run the Ideas Workshop. So the Ideas Workshop started in 2013 as a way to help young men get a skill, young men that had graduated from high school but didn't have money to go to college. And so we started working with them on kind of a part-time basis, and we would study the Bible, and then we would go into the workshop and turn some decent-looking steel into scrap pieces. And slowly that turned into a small little business, which grew into what the Ideas Workshop is today. To date, we've trained 39 students. That includes the 9 that are in our program right now, of which 18 are deaf, and I'll share more about them in a moment. Ideas Workshop moved to its own location in 2017, and in 2019 we partnered with another mission organization called Engineering Ministries International, and they have a large workshop facility where we have some of our professional machining equipment. We have 16 staff members, including myself and my folks who retired in Uganda about 4 years ago. They had been in Wheaton, Illinois for the last 20 or so years, working for Team Mission, and in their retirement, I being an only child, invited them to come on out, entice them with their only grandkids, And they came out and retired in Uganda to help out with the grandkids and with Ideas Workshop. So little did my dad realize that that was going to mean I'd make him the CEO. And so that's what he is right now. And he's much better at administration than I am. And I'm more on the technical side of things. And my mom has been helping out with the financial accountability side of stuff. But in addition to that, we have other staff. And one of our big prayer requests this summer, we're looking for someone to come and take his place as CEO. He retired 4 years ago. He's 76, turning 77 next month. And he would love to be retired again because he had about 2-month retirement. But he would love to be still involved and teach Bible studies, but not have to be doing day-to-day business operations. So if you know anyone who wants to change their career, head into missions, and be a part of running a small organization like this, or is in part of business and would like to use those skills, we could really use someone. My main role in the last 3 to 4 years has been the Chief Technical Officer for the Ideas Workshop. So I do a lot of staff training, both on machining equipment and then also in some Bible studies with our staff. And over the last year, we've been working on a prototype project for a wheelchair, an all-terrain wheelchair that can handle Uganda's kind of tough environment. This is my technical staff. The guy on my left there, the shortest one, is our new manager. We hired him a year ago, and he's really helped give me a little more space to do more training. These guys, all the guys on this side, on my right side there, were trained through our program, and then we would rehire them at different points. Some of them are in the wood side and are trainers. Some of them are just fabricators. This was a staff Bible study that I ran last year, methods in Bible study class, and a few other pictures of some training we did. And then our internship. The main reason for the Ideas Workshop to exist is our training program. And so that training program runs from February to October. And about 3 years ago, we started training deaf students, mixed in with other hearing students. And that was a new thing for us. None of us knew sign language. Some of us are just starting to learn sign language. But it became very apparent as we had a fellow supporter that supported my wife and I, as well as the Deaf Ministries International, said, hey, I have these deaf students, and you guys train. Would you be willing to work with them and train deaf students? So we said, sure, especially if you can raise the money for it. And so at the beginning they did. Unfortunately, at this point, that donor has passed away. But we continue to train deaf students. So this is what some of the students in this particular picture working on a door, learning how to build a door. And it's been really phenomenal to realize that the deaf community, I've heard around the world, but especially in Uganda, is really an unreached community. Around the world it's true, but in Uganda they are marginalized. Many of the students we get have not been able to go to school at all. Very few of them have had any kind of education. And so when we used to work with high school graduates, and we could start in studying the Bible very kind of deeply, and a Bible study that you would be very comfortable in, and we realized we had to step back and say, okay, these people, most of them are not saved. They have no idea what's in the Bible. Many of them don't know how to add and subtract and do very basic mathematics, which of course, if you're going to learn how to weld or do carpentry, you got to know how to cut and measure stuff. Well, actually, the other way around, measure and cut stuff. Measure twice, cut once. And so we've had to go step back and say, okay, we're actually going to teach these young people basic math, how to add and subtract. My mom was a teacher for her career, and so she's absolutely loved to jump into that. with one of our Ugandan ladies and teach them very basic stuff. And it's amazing to see them begin to blossom and bloom. And in April, let me jump back. In February, when we started, we start back in Genesis 1:1, and we give them an overview, kind of a foundation of the Bible. For you and I, we've been learning the Bible since we were little tykes in Sunday school. But these young people, they've never heard this stuff. And so, where would you start if you had never heard anything? Or if you were teaching someone who had never heard anything? So we start in Genesis 1:1, and we work our way through kind of an overview of the scriptures, jumping on the high points. And in April, we decided my mom was going to give a gospel presentation. And so in preparation for that, the week before, I did a lesson on kind of the tale of two kingdoms, that we are either in the kingdom of darkness or the kingdom of light. And until we have joined God's kingdom and been saved and received our salvation, until that point, we're part of the kingdom of darkness. And I left this big cliffhanger for these students, knowing that my mom was going to give the gospel the next week. And when she did, all of the students wanted to accept Christ. And it was a tremendous time where she walked with each one of them, making sure, this is what they wanted to do. And when you read the scriptures, and it's something you've never heard before, and you come to terms with your own selfishness and sin, what's been in your life, it's kind of a no-brainer that we would come to Christ because of the gift that he gives. And so it's been tremendous to walk with these students. Of the 9 students, 7 of them are deaf and 2 of them are hearing. And they're continuing while we are in the States. My folks are continuing the project, working with them. I mentioned a wheelchair. Why is it necessary to do a wheelchair? Aren't there lots of wheelchairs out there? Well, yes, there are lots of wheelchairs, but Uganda is a combination of no roads, bad roads, and hills. Kampala is built on hills kind of like you'd see in Pennsylvania or Seattle. And so you combine that with rainy season, dry season, rainy season, dry season, and you get a lot of challenging terrain that a wheelchair that you might see in a hospital would not be able to get over. And so as the Ideas Workshop runs professional projects, we thought, I wonder if we can step into building an all-terrain wheelchair that would service Uganda and East Africa. And so I've been working on that prototype for the last year. I had a dream of having this beautiful working chair by the time I came to the States this summer. I would say it's about 80% there. I brought what I had completed, and we've been able to partner with an organization in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I say organization, it's a fabrication company that's going to help us tweak the design, improve the design, so that we can then take it back, and we are praying by the end of the year we'll be able to start production, small-scale production. And this is one of the chairs prototypes being tested out there. Just a couple other pictures of other things that Ideas has built over the years. A few other products. And then one of the big thoughts we have for our little organization is to transform the all-terrain wheelchair project into a leading wheelchair producer in East Africa. And the goal of it is to actually be able to employ largely deaf people in that factory. And so while we're producing stuff for one mobility needs community, we're also doing that and supporting the deaf community. For those of you who work with your hands and use power tools, if you can hear, there's one thing we always do with our ears is we put on hearing protection. These guys have hearing protection built in. And they also are very dedicated workers, because when they're working with their hands, they can't talk. Now, that might not seem like an issue to you, I have learned over my 15 or so years in Uganda, unlike kind of the stereotypical American man, we run out of words at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And, I'm good working by myself and having a good time with music and whatever. The typical Ugandan man, he loves to chit-chat and talk. And it's a culture of community, and so they love to talk. Well, that's great if you're in a Bible study. Not so great if you're trying to build stuff and sell it. And so one of the other advantages of the deaf community is that they're very focused when they're working. They're doing what they're doing, and they get it done. So we're trying to combine these different things into something that will work well for different communities. Some prayer requests. Sorry, you won't be able to see this in the back, but I'll go over them. We're praying for the spiritual and vocational formation for our students this year. Continue for them as they grow in their spiritual walk. For many of them, this was the first time they've made a commitment to Christ. For a few of them, I think it was a recommitment to Christ. Pray for the wheelchair project that is going on. Pray for the senior leadership transition from my dad, Jon Davis. We're praying that he would be able to be replaced. Not that we want him to step away, but that he would like to step back and just do the fun stuff. And then for safety for our family this summer as we travel, we have about 7,000 miles in total to cover, and about 12 churches to get to in our 10-week trip. All right. Let me show a quick little video of the workshop. I'm Jon Davis. Sorry. I'm Jon Davis, and I started Ideas Workshop in 2013 to give young people a chance to learn a skill, welding or carpentry. I'm Jon Davis, study the Bible. I started Ideas Workshop in 2013 to give young people a chance to... One moment, technical difficulties. It's the problem with casting to a second screen here. Ah, there it is. Why didn't you tell me you were watching it already? If I can find my cursor. There it is. And we just need to back it up here. To give young people a chance to... Almost. I'm Jon Davis, and I started Ideas Workshop in 2013 to give young people a chance to learn a skill, welding or carpentry, and also study the Bible and get a grip on... That's not what I'm going to say.
Hello, my name is Sonko Ivan. I am the workshops manager for Ideas Workshop. Since the Davis family came out here, there's been tremendous impact on the lives of a number of young people. Specifically, we have had about 30 young people go through our training. In our trainings, we give them skills in welding, carpentry, and I can tell you the lives of these young people and their families have had a tremendous impact. They've been tremendously changed. When you change the life of one young person in this side of the world, you're changing the lives of entire families. And we have specifically looked out for those vulnerable groups, for young people that may not have an opportunity. Maybe they don't have fees to go to college. Maybe they don't have a chance in life. Young ladies, young men, even the vulnerable, people with disabilities, the deaf, a number of them have got skills just through this training. So we want to say thank you to all of you that have been a part of this, all of you that have sent in your time, your money. We want to say a very special thank you from this side of the world. And we also want to welcome you, whoever wants to be a part of this noble cause. Yes, you can go ahead. And we also welcome you down here to come and see the great impact you are having on the lives of these young people. Thank you so much.
Personally, spelling my name, I'm called Mwanguzi Joyce. I come from one of the districts near Kampala, is Mukono. I joined the Ideas Workshop since January, and all things have been good. I am doing metal fabrication, welding, and then the what? Carpentry and Bible study. So I've acquired skills in all these areas. So when I get back in Mukono district, I will share with the community members, the colleagues, about trusting in God. This is what I've acquired from Ideas Workshop. What I have hoped for is to go and come up with my own business in connection to the skills I have acquired from here, so I can go and bring it up in the community.
Excellent.
I have acquired wisdom, a lot of wisdom that I have got from here. It has empowered me basically to practice putting what I have learned here. That one has empowered me, and also trusting in God. That is what I can say, it has empowered me. My experience here in Ideas Workshop, I had it in carpentry and metal fabrication. I have learned the skills and have benefited much more, and I'm still carrying on, and I expect from here I will share it with the other community members. Yeah. But now, as I am still in progress to add onto more skills and knowledge, and I believe it is going to be much more beneficial. Personally, in my life, I have experienced some changes, because before I came here, I was in a challenging situation. I came here, I've learned Bible studies, issues to do with God, relating to God, and my life has changed. It's now vibrant, and I'm still building on what I have learned from here, and I keep on trusting in God for other things. Thank you. I have enjoyed metal fabrication or welding, and being creative, coming up with several ideas on what I have learned and put it into practice. That is in woodwork and metal fabrication.
Very good.
Yes. So I just want to say thank you to your church for standing with us, for letting us be an extension of what you do, and reaching some young people in Kampala, Uganda. So thank you so much.